Hang on, people. All right. I made this video off the Twitter feed already, and then I found this one. It was open because I had all ththese freaking tabs open, and I went to it, and oh shit, this needs to be in front of the video I just did. So I'm adding this in front of the 3rd precinct where the protesters, where the pesky citizens had enough and took over the 3rd precinct in Minneapolis. So this, and the reason the 3rd precinct is in there is because that's where the officers were assigned to. And evidently they've been a bunch of officers and they're barricaded, hiding like the cowards they are for the last couple of days. And finally they decided to abandon the police station and run like the little girls they did. And I'll get to that later in the Twitter video, but here's some video footage and some things that I actually said in the Twitter video. They're saying in this news report, but so it'll sound like I'm copying them, but actually I made my video before I watched this. Here we go.
Our coverage tonight here on WCCO and CBSN Minnesota.
Protesters have set fire to Minneapolis' 3rd police precinct.
We want to give you a look from Sky 4. The significant thing about what's going on here symbolically is the 3rd precinct is where the officers who were involved in the George Floyd arrest were headquartered. And for them to take over this is significant for the protesters. The other thing that's we find a little unusual about this.
What's the difference between a protester and a riot? Because it seems like if Second Amendment guys show up with guns, they want to treat them like they're rioting and they're committing crimes. These guys are burning down a station. I mean, and they call them protesters. I guess I'm just confused. It's probably just me. I ain't got 2 brain cells, so it's my fault.
There's such a heavy police presence at the 3rd precinct for the last 3 days, with officers barricading the front of the building, officers on the roof, the use of tear gas, rubber bullets.
Oh, so they've been shooting rubber bullets and tear gas from the roof for 3 days. Wow. Good for the pesky protesters for hanging in there and finally not giving up, even though they were shooting rubber bullets. I'm having a feeling if they started shooting real bullets, it probably would have broke up, but you know, that wouldn't sit well with the government PC.
Things to keep people away. Obviously, protesters have figured out a way to get through those barricades. You can see people occasionally throwing debris on the fire to keep it going, but the 3rd precinct.
Okay, you see these lasers run around. I brought that up in the other one, and they bring it up too about they're pretty effective against helicopters.
In Minneapolis at Lake and Minnehaha, just a few blocks from 28th Street, it appears to be the front of it on fire right now.
Yeah, we're looking from Sky 4. Well, they just turned the camera there, but to me it looked like it was at the front of the building. I don't know if it's inside the building, because at the front of the 3rd precinct there, they have a little bit of a...
People, if you are one of these people in these cars, when things like this are going on, don't be a sheep and stay in your lane. There are times when you should not stay in your lane. There's times when you should, when you're talking about shit you don't know nothing about. However, in this situation, lanes, laws mean nothing. Your safety means you need to get the hell out of there, and you take any path over anything and get the hell out of there. These people sitting patiently and waiting, these are your freaking liberals like, oh, we got to get along. We need to trust in our fellow man. We need to hug and sing. Nobody will hurt us because we're safe and we're all got a common goal and we're all friends. Are you kidding me? Get the hell out of there in these spots. I can't believe people are like sitting around like that. You don't want to be in front of me if I get caught in one of these. I guarantee you.
I don't want to say a garden or anything, but it kind of looked like it was within there. So at this point, we're not sure if it is actually inside the building, but we of course will try to find out the latest there.
You might have seen those laser lights too, the green and the blue. Sometimes protesters will use those to shine at the helicopter pilot if they don't want them in the area. And that's why our Sky 4 is pulling out of the scene right now. Very, very difficult for the pilot to get any kind of orientation and see what's going on if they're getting a laser light in their face. But tonight, the 3rd precinct in Minneapolis is on fire, and a activist group said that they and with more from the newsroom. David, you had an interesting perspective. You were with protesters. I know it was peaceful one moment, and then all of a sudden things would just turn.
Yeah, we were out there all afternoon, and the first fires we saw were actually a little after 7 o'clock when a car was on fire in the Target parking lot across the street. But I've been watching that chopper feed for several minutes now, and we've been doing it from the station for safety reasons for ourselves and our crews. But it started as fires in the parking lot of the precinct, and now it has moved to what appears to be the front door, and other businesses surrounding the precinct also on fire. And just from walking through there today, there's already so much devastation, an AutoZone destroyed, and just so many buildings hollowed out with fire. And now there appears to be more tonight, which is just heartbreaking. The crowds you can see are massive, packed in, shoulder to shoulder.
That's a massive crowd. That's exactly how you send government a message. Now, the last, I think it was a Virginia rally where all the gun guys showed up to the Capitol, and the mayor got all paranoid and pissed his pink panties and blocked them in his own because they were compliant. This is what happens when voluntary compliance says enough is enough.
And I saw a picture on Twitter that kind of to show the scope of what is happening. The picture was taken from Hudson, Wisconsin, which is 30, 40 miles away, and you could see the glow from these fires. There's another one now at the bottom of the screen burning.
Now, unfortunately, I'm going to give you pesky citizens a little view of the buildings that you're burning. If you think you hurt the cops, they don't care. They're going to get more tax money. They're going to rebuild. They'll get all new furniture. They'll get all new money for their personal items. They'll get paid for the things that are lost. They're going to get new, better buildings that are bigger and more fortified. They're going to get new shiny glass. They're going to get new shiny furniture, new shiny equipment, brand new computers. So even when you think you're sending government a message, they don't care. They're going to spend tons of money. You think the government's going to be like, gee, we didn't budget for this. I guess we'll just have to work in a burnout building for a while, and that'll teach cops a little humility. Of course not. The government's going to take tax dollars, do all this, and then be out there in 2 weeks writing everybody tickets trying to pay for it.
And we are just watching to see how this continues to grow, the crowds, the fires, and whether control will be able to be re-exerted on what's going on. It looks like fireworks of some sort are being shot up into the air as well now.
David, thanks. As we continue to look at this picture, you know, the other thing that's interesting is the chief directly 2 nights ago gave the use of tear gas and the use of rubber bullets, and gave police the authority to try to keep people out. Once protesters broke into the parking lot of the 3rd precinct, and his reason was he didn't want them to have access to the building because there are guns and live ammunition. He didn't.
Oh, there are guns and live ammunition that only government can have. We can't let you pesky citizens have that. You guys are irresponsible. If we give you guys guns and things, you'll be out there kneeling on people's necks, killing them in the streets. So we have to keep the guns away from you pesky citizens.
Didn't want them to have access to the cars because the cars have guns and weapons and live ammunition as well. Don't know if he was able to take those things.
Well, that's probably why the protesters should have went in there at the jump street and flattened all the tires. Because when you see in the next video where all the cars are leaving, they wouldn't be leaving if all their tires were flattened.
He's out of there. But that's one of the safety concerns of having people take it over, besides the fact it's a huge public building with a lot of symbolic significance.
Absolutely, and I know that the chief, as other state and city leaders, were saying that they respect the right to protest and to verbalize that. But once again, they said, please don't be violent or destructive.
When was the last time you heard a cop on the street go, hey man, you know, we respect your rights, but just don't be violent? When was the last time you heard a cop talk to a citizen that way? It's funny, the chief is talking to the citizens that way now. I wonder why. That's kind of odd, because I never see police on a street treat citizens that way. They treat you with contempt, like you're pathetic and you're lower than them, and you better respect them, and you better not do anything to them, or they'll write you a ticket, or they'll fine you, or they'll say you're resisting arrest and throw you in jail. And you can beat the crime, but you can't beat the ride. The motto of the thin blue line.
In fact, Governor Walz today declared a peacetime emergency in the city of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and the surrounding communities, and he did activate the National Guard. And there was a tweet that just went out that said that.
Okay, I want to cover the National Guard. A lot of people are saying, hey, you can't use the military. Look, National Guard falls under the government. That's the state. The state can use their militia or National Guard. It's not the same as the federal military. When you get the federal military in there, then you got issues with posse comitatus, which was pretty much done away with. Another little, constitutional issues that were put in there to protect people, which have now been done away with because of the Patriot Act. It's amazing. The Patriot Act took away more freedoms from any patriot in the history of time, and it's called the Patriot Act.
500 National Guard members have been activated to Minneapolis and St. Paul.
I got a tip call from someone today that said they saw a
Now, why do you think they call the National Guard, people? People that don't understand tactics. Why would they call in the military? Does the military got tanks, guns, armor, more equipment to use force? Does the military have a better ability to use force against people? They didn't call them in to come hold hands and sing Kumbaya and a peaceful protest with the pesky citizens. That's not why they called in. Well, Rick, the military and the cops will never take guns from the citizens. They're Americans and they're on our side and they're here. You're an idiot.
convoy of National Guard troops coming from Lester Prairie heading toward the Twin Cities. Can't say that they're the same group, but...
Okay, so now I'll get to the other video on the Twitter where it shows them actually running. How you going, people? So this is when the police station had to run and hide. I freaking love this. And you know what? It's kind of sad on my attitude, the way it changed. I mean, being a cop, look, I've worked in some bad areas, and we've had to run out of areas before. So I know it sucks. And you feel powerless. And you got to grab your guy that's in custody and throw him in a car, and then all the cars just race out of the area because of crowds just like this. Because when voluntary compliance from the pesky citizens stops, police and government lose all power. Now, the only way they get power back is to bring out guns and shoot everybody because they've taken the guns from the citizens and the citizens can't shoot back. Government knows this throughout the time of history, which is why most all governments refuse to allow their people to have guns. They know that when they get tyrannical and when they want to enforce their will with their guns, it's much easier to do when you're not fighting other people with guns. And government will never be bigger than the government that they supposedly serve, protect, or rule over. So government always has to be smaller than the people. So in order to maintain that slave owner mentality, they have to get control of all the guns and weapons to keep their slaves so they can't fight back fairly. So even though these guys aren't shooting at these cops, they're using rocks and stones and everything else. I freaking love it. This is a future for all the cops out there every day that are out there playing. I got to protect and serve. I got to write everybody a freaking ticket on the highway. I got to stop everybody who's walking who gives me a dirty look. I'm going to show them who's boss. I'm going to arrest everybody for everything because I have the power now. This is your future, and I freaking love it. So the cop just pulls right through the gate. They're not even going to get out and open the gate. They just tear down the gate. Look at the little cops running. Rick, you can't laugh. Those are police officers. They're heroes. They're there to shut up. They're there to freaking act like tyrannical tax collectors that abuse people every day. They don't care what color you are. They don't care shit. They're out there justifying their jobs, getting their paychecks, justifying their numbers so they can treat people like shit. They are not part of the community. They are not part of my community, and they damn sure aren't protecting and serving anybody but themselves. You hear the people cheering? What's up now? Because these guys are running? That's good. I wanted to point out, you see the fireworks going off? Those are things that people, and I have in my little arsenal of, well, it's not an arsenal, it's just in my 4th of July demonstration, or 4th of July celebration bag, I keep lots of smoke grenades, lots of Roman candles, lots of things that shoot things and blow up like that. Those are great, what we call distractors in a tactical world, that It blinds your adversary. It also makes flashes and disorients them. It also makes it so they can't aim and shoot back. So things that are legal like that, people need to buy why they are legal, because sooner or later government will make them illegal. You're also going to see a lot of lasers. Lasers are great for making people shut their eyes. If a helicopter comes in, there was one video, and I can't remember, maybe somebody can post it, where I think it was in Russia, a helicopter tried to land in this crowd to save some cops, and like 50 or 60, I don't know, maybe 100, 200 people had lasers, and every one of them shined it in a helicopter. And the helicopter had to abort his landing and had to leave because he couldn't see. He was being blinded by all the lasers, which is why in most states, I think it's federal law even, you can't point a laser at an aircraft because you can blind them. Well, pretty soon they're going to make lasers illegal. It's only a matter of time. Government figures out what can be used against them, and they make it illegal. If you want to know what government's afraid of, it's what they make illegal. So anyway, these fireworks going off are great distractors. Obviously somebody's thinking, and it's also distracting these cops, it's blinding the cops. If anybody's trying to aim at these guys and shoot at these guys, it's going to blind, mess up their aim, and disorient them. So great little tactic. I'm glad they're using it. I'm glad I'm not the only one that freaking has several Roman candles in my 4th of July celebration bag. And this is what's up now. Now, tactically speaking, I'm always trying to learn from these, and I wish people would, because this is how you're going to learn when shit. If people think this is like an isolated incident, this has been going on since I've been alive, before I was alive. This is an isolated incident. But it's coming to a head now because people are getting fed up with government everywhere. It used to be just the black community would do this, and everyone else would be like, man, that's not good. They shouldn't do that. Now it's like, good. I'm glad. An enemy is my enemy is my friend. I'm glad that the cops are getting, I'm glad the government's getting attacked. I'm glad the government's getting pushed back and getting a dose of their own abuse. I'm glad. What I'm not glad about is it doesn't happen enough to stop them. They don't change. They change now. This should show everybody why you need a gun and you should never give up your Second Amendment. These cops aren't protecting no one. While watching this video, you see 50 to 100 cop cars pulling out of this area. Why are all the cops in one area behind fences with guns to protect themselves? But they're not out there protecting the public. They're not out there protecting victims of these rioters. They're not protecting anybody. Who are they protecting? Themselves. That's what government does, and any idiot that gives up their gun thinking government will protect you, well, you're an idiot and you deserve what you get. This woman kills me. She's like, yeah, I got one rock and I got another rock. She's throwing left and right. Tomorrow she's going to be like, anybody got some Bengay? When we looted Target, did anybody grab some Bengay? Because my shoulder is sore.
They're gone.
This dude's got his head up. To me, he's a fool. Because that's who everybody ought to be aiming at, pounding him. I mean, I'm wondering where all these cop lovers that are always saying cops are doing the right job and they were protecting and show me your hands or I'll shoot you, or don't reach or I'll shoot. I thought he was going for a gun. I was in fear of my life, so I shot everybody, and it's justified because I'm the police and I work for the government and I'm here to protect and serve you. I wonder why aren't these cops getting out here and enforcing their laws that they're enforcing? Why aren't they, because there's laws against throwing rocks at cars. Why aren't they enforcing these laws, people? Well, if you need that explained, well, then you're an idiot. I can't help you. I hear the tinging off the car of the last person. I think it's funny. But Rick, that's government tax dollars, and those are our cars, and they work for us. And yeah, you're an idiot. This is a occupying army in this country who has become so tyrannical. They have no respect for the citizens. They don't work for the people. They work for themselves. They treat people like shit. They're tax collectors. They steal from us left and right every chance they get as enforcers of our crooked politicians. Sooner or later, it's going to come to a head, and this is going to be every city across this country because people are fed up and they're enough. I freaking love it. Everybody cheering. People come together. When the people, this is what people need to get out of this. When people come together and push back, government loses. Every time, no ifs, ands, buts, or coconuts. Now, if you do this for a few days and you let the government bring in the National Guard, you let the government start seizing weapons, you let the government start getting their little mobs together, and they'll go around and start taking weapons from people and start arresting people who are defending their homes. If you let them get their resources, then they have a better chance of fighting back, and over time, the motivation of the masses dies out. And people are like, well, I got to go to work, or I got to get some money, or I'm hungry, or I got to take care of my, other priorities come up. So once this spark lights up, you need to hit when the hitting's good, like these guys are doing, in order to make an impact. Unfortunately, look, people, in 2 weeks from now, or a month from now, all these cops are going to be back in this police station. It'll be business as usual, out there looking for victims. They will be looking for you pesky citizens who are driving 5 miles over the speed limit, who didn't stop at a stop sign, who are jaywalking, who looked at me the wrong way, who tried to videotape me and it's against the law to videotape the police, who tried to interfere. That they will be out there harassing good and decent people, and meanwhile, criminals will be out there doing this. Notice how all these people committing crimes are not getting taxed and fined by the police right now? Why is that? Because masses have meaning. I think this is a great video. I'm trying to, hopefully I didn't miss anything. I'm surprised these guys are like, damn, man, why can't I get in the car? Man, we ain't got enough cars. Some of you guys got to run. All right. Some cars have their lights on, some don't. I don't know if that would be tactical. Is it better to have your lights on? I think the lights will probably blind people coming at you. Tactically, I would probably turn all my lights on and bright lights to kind of blind everybody if I was in the cop's shoes. If anybody gets in front of one of these cops, do you think the cop is going to stop, or do you think he's going to run them over? He's going to run them over. And it's going to be justified. But Rick, you can't do that. If we do that, the cops shoot us. Well, that's because you're not government and you're not above the rules and you don't have immunity. Man, I was watching Epstein on a couple episodes of Epstein on Netflix. Holy shit! You talk about a sweetheart deal. I'm going to do a video on that. That was great. So right here, they get stalled up. This is a problem when you have long convoys. Any stall or pause up front really affects everybody in the back and makes them a sitting target. So right now, all these guys who can't move are kind of screwed because they're stuck in what we call the kill zone or the attack zone, or they can't get out of the area where they're getting pummeled. So it's not a good idea. You always want to push through the kill or ambush zone. And this little gate right here is kind of the ambush zone, which is why they're all trying to get out of it. On the run. Wow. What a nice sight. Fed up with you blue thugs and your blue line crap. All right, we'll end that there.